Good afternoon, class. My name is Rakia Anumegi, and I attend FSCJ, and I'm in Professor Rosenquist, Teaching and Learning for Nursing Professionals. My topic that I will touch on today is obesity. Here are some of the objectives that we will look into or discuss at some given point in regards to obesity. Let's jump to the introduction. I'm sure at some given point or time, you guys have heard of the word obesity. And basically, the definition is a nutritional disease defined as a state of increased body weight because of the accumulation of adipose tissue, fat, in lay terms. The causes of obesity are complex, but they can be related to your diet, your physical activity, emotions, and habits. There's also the increased consumption of fatty food and lack of physical activity that are some changes in society that have led to obesity in the United States of America. There are several health risks associated with obesity. Medical terms include atherosclerosis, that's the hardening of your arteries, coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, that's a big one, hypertension, asthma, and sleep apnea. These medical conditions have long-term consequences and lead to increased morbidity and mortality due to obesity. In addition, obesity reduces the quality of life as it makes it difficult for individuals to undertake normal daily activity. Target audience. Who's my target audience? You guys. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to discuss this. Who does it affect? Everyone. So if I can campaign out to you in order to know the signs and symptoms, to recognize what's unhealthy, if I could teach you, then you can go home and you can teach your family, you can teach your peers, and we can all work with this together in order to battle obesity. Epidemiology. Whereas it states here, in the 21st century, obesity has reached epidemic levels in the United States of America. Obesity is currently prevalent among individuals of all ages, race, and gender. It is a disease of both children and adults. And as we stated earlier, morbidity and mortality is commonly due to the diseases associated with obesity, especially the coronary artery disease I explained to you earlier, the hardening of the arteries, hypertension, and sleep apnea. The Center for Disease Control, the CDC, and Journal of American Medical Association provide statistics which show that more than a third, 34.9% or 78.6 million of American adults and 17% of youth are battling obesity. That's a very large number. Basically, what we know as the world's population that we live in now, where overweight and obesity kills more people than the underweight, that's a problem, especially when we know obesity is preventable. Risk factors. Well, some of us, we have genetic predisposition. Our mothers were overweight. Our fathers were overweight. It just runs in our family. So we have the tendency or the likelihood to be overweight. It doesn't mean necessarily that we can't prevent it, but it just means we have a predisposition to being overweight. And also our environment, things in our environment. Environmental changes, the food industry and developed countries support sophisticated advertising that encourage people to eat convenience food. Yeah, we see ads every day on TV for McDonald's and Popeyes and things of that nature. And they're inexpensive now. You know, they're super. You can go to McDonald's and there's a dollar menu, okay, to get something that's 700 calories, what we don't need. Whereas you go to Publix and you're looking for, let's say, something that's good for you, like an avocado, and it's like $3 for one avocado. So yeah, where is that going to lead us? We're going to want to go to what's cheaper, what's easier. We're not cooking, things like that. That all leads to obesity. And all of those things like that you get at McDonald's, they have high levels of calories, fat, simple carbohydrates, and sodium, and then they have the low levels of fiber and micronutrients that we need. Snacking in between meals. I'm very guilty of that. It's not that I'm hungry. We just want to eat just because the food is there. Or you can be an emotional eater. Some people, when they're happy, they eat. Some people, when they're sad, they eat. Again, we have to watch this because this could lead to obesity. Sedentary activity and lack of exercise. That is very important. Due to, safety issues now, we don't go outside and play and ride our bikes like we used to when I was growing up. I used to ride my bike 3 miles to school. Well, now times have changed and kids are not doing that. And we're just going out the door and going straight to the bus, or our parents are dropping us off and we're not getting that exercise that we need. We're not going outside. We're not playing outdoors just because, society now has taken a turn where people are afraid to do that. And they've turned more to inside children where they're playing video games, and video games have taken over, and we just don't get outside and get that proper exercise that we need. Signs of presentation. I'll just touch on this a little without getting too technical. It's just basically the people who are more at risk. That would be African Americans, Hispanic, and Native Americans. It doesn't mean that other races are not exposed to it, but we're definitely at a higher risk of getting type 2 diabetes. And there are a lot of symptoms that are associated with type 2 diabetes that we have to recognize that can lead to obesity, as listed here. Urinating, you're either urinating too much or not at all. Unexplained rapid weight loss. There are a lot of things that are associated, with diabetes that therefore can lead to obesity. Also, the sleep apnea has a big effect on your body weight. You'll have episodes of where you're snoring, nighttime coughing fits, excessive daytime sleepiness. This all can affect the obese patient. A lot of times too, I know just from working, with people, a lot of times your hips, your knees, your leg pains, you can have orthopedic complications just from having that excess weight on you. Diagnosis. Diagnosis is, I don't know if you guys have heard of something called BMI. It's called Body Mass Index. And that's by dividing the weight in kilograms by the height in meters. This is how you measure adiposity, which is the fat, how much fat your body has, classification of that. And there were some statistics that said children's adiposity rises in the first year of life, and it reaches, it's nadir, around 5 to 6 years of age, and then increases again throughout childhood. This is called adiposity rebound, and the 95th percentile BMI for a 4-year-old is approximately 19. You can see there's a table that I have here. So let's look here. For a 4-year-old, 19. Okay, already that's at normal weight, but it is 25 in a 13-year-old. That's where we're considered overweight. So you see how it really jumps when you get into your puberty years. So consistent use of the BMI growth chart aids in early identification of children at risk for, obesity. And they have that. When you go and you do your physical checkups, you'll be able to see where you are in the scale. I know I took my son recently, and we were able to see, based off his height and weight, if it would coincide for him later being obese. Prevention and management. This is the main thing that we need to know. So let's look here. Anticipatory guidance. This looks at the avoidance of risk factors and controls the eating mechanisms of those at risk for developing obesity. Multidisciplinary and community-based approach healthy eating choices, meal and portion size planning, decreasing screen time, and approaches to increasing physical activity, provide an important service for family with children at risk for becoming overweight or mildly to moderately overweight, dietary management, physical activity, medicine, and surgery. And these are my references. So right now what we're going to do some fun activities, basically that will consist of a discussion that I'll show you some picture arts, we'll do some worksheets and do some little quizzes to ensure that you have learned what obesity has and see what all you know about obesity. I appreciate you taking out the time to listen to my PowerPoint presentation, and this concludes my lesson.